This is going to be the dumbest thing we've ever done. Are you ready?
It can't be, but go ahead.
It's gonna be. Are you ready? You ready?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Witness me!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Two Peas on a Podcast. Nick is wet over there, and I am witnessing him. Gerald here with you. We review the latest and sometimes greatest movies. We're talking about Furiosa, the Mad Max saga tonight. Nick, you toweled off there. You're dry now, I think.
I'm lost in the post-apocalypse, and I came upon this strange man wandering around in the woods. He wants to invite me to his camp. I don't know if I should trust him or not, though. What do you think?
You should. I've heard great things. You definitely should go with him and trust everything that man says.
What's up, baby?
What's up, man? Live stream for The Cure. We're recording this a few days ahead of time, but actually, when this episode comes out, the event is officially underway. So
it starts today. Literally, if you're listening to this
today,
on release day, it starts today. So
tell them a little bit about it, man. I mean, everybody listening to this show has probably heard us talk about it, but it's so important, I know, to you, and it's important to me. Just share the event. Tune in when you can. I mean, obviously, you can't sit there for 4 days in a row like psychos like me and Nick, but I mean, tune in when you can and do what you can. Nick, tell them a little bit about where they need to go to find the event, because if you're listening to this, the event's probably going on. So
yeah, probably. So twitch.tv/livestream for the cure is where you can find it. You can go to the Livestream for the Cure Twitter page. You can go to the Facebook page. You can go to all my links /livestream for the cure. You can go to livestreamforthecure.com, but that takes you straight to the donation page. You can just go to Twitch and search for Livestream for the Cure. You will find us, or search on either one of our social medias. I know Gerald's been sharing the crap out of it too. But yeah, we're trying to raise $25,000 for the Cancer Research Institute. We've got amazing content coming your way. We've got a very special takeover edition of the Peas that's coming. I'm super excited for it. That's going to be really fun. I've got these super spicy jelly beans here. There's a Carolina Reaper one here. There's a Carolina Reaper one. You can't see it because of my green screen.
Yeah, I see it now.
All sorts of spicy jelly beans, and I've got Truth or Dab. Sean Ennis is making me do the Hot Ones challenge again because he's a
Sean Ennis hit me up, and Dan as well, producer Dan, to possibly get those in person this year because we're not going to be in New York for the event. We're going to be remote.
Yeah,
and I might be doing that again, which means you could possibly witness my death on camera again this year, which is always right on the cusp whenever I'm eating spicy food. And my son will be there to dial 911, so that'd be good.
If you haven't seen last year's, it's on the Ink and Ash YouTube channel. I've been sharing that on live stream stuff as well. It's last year's was an absolute blast. It was absolutely amazing. Gerald started dying like Wing 2. Like he was immediately like, we did like the first or second one, and Gerald's like, guys, I'm gonna no. Yeah. And then like my favorite thing is like I rewatched it, and like the eighth wing, like the bomb evolution or something like that, I think. Gerald's wife comes in the chat and is like, doctor said Gerald's not supposed to have spicy food after he already had the bomb, and it's just
after
like,
I'm way past point of no return.
He's way into it at that point.
By the way, Dan, check your Instagram messages because Sean Ennis is trying to hook us up with that, and you're like me and probably never go on Instagram, but so that'll be a lot of fun. To let everybody know, for the two-piece segment is going to be Friday night, which is the 31st at 10 p.m. So if you're a two-piece fan, if you're listening to this, my son Logan, my 10-year-old son, is going to join the broadcast. Nick will be there. We've got a couple other special guests that are going to join us. And Logan came up with a really, really fun topic. I'm really proud of him. We're going to do our top 5 movies that we saw way too young. So keep that in mind. He's 10, so basically anything he's seen arguably over PG-13 is probably
y'all know Gerald's movie taste, so God knows.
Yeah. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. He's been itching to come on live stream for a couple of years now, and I'm glad. I appreciate you making a spot for him, and we're get him in there on the program and help him raise some money for cancer.
He's auditioning. He's auditioning to take over as my permanent co-host on the Peas here. He's forcing you
take
out.
Over for me.
This is his hostile takeover, is what it is.
He can take over for me.
It's gonna be me and Logan.
That's what it's gonna have to be after the last dab. It'll be
you didn't know
and
that.
Logan. I won't survive it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do it in honor of you. That's what it's gonna have to. That's what it's gonna have to be. But yeah, so
be
May 29th through June 1st, noon to midnight Eastern, all
Yeah.
4 days. We're going to be live. There's going to be tons of amazing content creators. We're going to play a lot of fun games. You're going to give away a ton of fun prizes. Listen, I know I keep talking about this on social media, and I love it so much. I can't wait till y'all see it. Exclusive Gerald t-shirt that is going to be for sale only during the event. You can only buy it during the event, and you're going to have a chance to win the original print from Phil Rude, the artist that did the work. If you love the chest burster Gerald from last year, I promise you you're going to love this one.
So
it is absolutely incredible. I swear to God. Save some money, obviously to donate, but also save some money to buy yourself a Gerald t-shirt this year because it's amazing.
A little anecdote about that. I shared, or maybe yesterday, I shared the post about that you put up on social media, and Phil Rude commented as well. The artist that did it. So a couple years ago, he did me as Rose from Titanic.
Yep.
Right. And then last year he did the chest burster from Alien. And then this year, I don't even know what it is. I think only you and him really know what it is.
Yeah, I think so.
So that'll be revealed during the event. But my wife saw the post and she's like, that guy painted you again? Like, what's going on? I'm like, we're raising money. I don't know, So, I'm excited to see what it is, but I'm also a little nervous. And it also explains.
Can't wait.
It also explains why Phil asked me to get naked last week when I saw him. So,
oh no, that was completely unrelated. I've had the print for weeks, Gerald. It's been done for weeks and weeks now.
Oh man,
that was a different thing entirely. Must be.
I love Phil Rude. I love all the different content creators that come together for Livestream for the Cure. Check the show notes for that, and make sure you guys tune in. Like I said, if you're listening to this broadcast prior to June 1st, the event is probably going on right now. So when you get done with this episode, head over there and check out Livestream for the Cure and donate if you can. A lot of great folks showing up for that event this year, as they do every year. And Nick, I commend you for putting it on yet again. I know it's a lot of hard work, man. So great job.
Somehow I'm alive right now to even record this review of Furiosa, but I'm here and I'm all wet for some reason.
Well, wait, what? Oh, okay. I got you. So say we're not quite into the review yet. Hang tight.
Also, I poured water on myself. Yeah, obviously.
That too. Yeah, that too. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, directed by, of course, George Miller, starring Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Hemsworth, and a host of others. We're going to get into that film, which is a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, which is largely considered one of the greatest action movies of all time. I don't necessarily think that, but I do think it's a really, really strong film. And I'm excited to see what we thought of Furiosa when we start discussing that. However, Nick, before we get into Furiosa, we like to head over to social media and see what our fans had to ask us this week in a segment we call One Big Question.
You could ask yourself a question.
I have a lot of questions. Number one, how dare you?
All right, Kelly Kapoor, you said you had a couple over there on Discord that were.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. I hope you're ready for this.
Probably not, but go ahead. I never am.
All right. So Julio from the Contrarians, he did leave us a lot, some of which were a little more tongue-in-cheek than the others. But he did leave us a couple of good ones here. So if this is the first one I want to throw at you, Gerald. And a lot of this is going to be tied to the current box office struggle that this film is undergoing. This is going to be one of the worst Memorial Day openings in the past, 40 years, I believe?
Crazy. That's what I heard too. Yep.
Yeah. So Julio wants to know, is it that people don't really care for Furiosa as a main character? Is it that people don't care for a prequel when they could easily have a sequel? Is it that Furiosa is only a fan favorite when played by Charlize Theron? Will pundits be able to blame this on some sort of fatigue, superhero, or otherwise? There's a whole lot of stuff all wrapped into all this kind of thing. But obviously trying to address some of the reasons why, and I'm very vocal on social media about it, but I won't go into it today because I've already done it on past episodes about basically the movie theater experience. So I don't want to rehash that, but I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
I mean, I don't think that, of course I don't know, but I don't think that any of the shortcomings for the box office dollars for a movie like Furiosa are because of the product itself necessarily. I think it's more because of the movie-going experience these days, the price of tickets, and honestly, and I mentioned this when we talked about it, when we discussed Fall Guy, because that one bombed too, based on what they thought it was going to do. I think that people have shifted to a mentality of, I didn't get to go see it opening weekend, I'm going to see it at home. And they don't even bother. If they don't see it those first 2 or 3 days, they just it's going to be on streaming in a month. I'll see it at home. That's unfortunate, especially for a movie like this from George Miller, who is almost like he was born to make movies on the big screen, and other directors like Christopher Nolan and et cetera. You want to see those movies in the theater. That's how they're meant to be seen.
Yeah.
If it's some indie romantic comedy or whatever, I mean, who cares? You know what I mean? But
Right,
movies like this, it's just sad, man, and it really brought me down. I didn't expect it. I thought this was gonna do. I mean, because I think I saw. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Fury Road, which did not open on a holiday weekend, did like 45 million, and this one's a holiday weekend and only did 31 million or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
Fury Road did like 45 million over a normal weekend.
Right.
And this is struggling to even get 2/3 of that over a holiday weekend, over the Memorial Day weekend, which should typically be pretty strong in terms of blockbusters. I will say that I've never seen the Ithaca Theater that I go to. I've never seen it this packed in a long time. It hasn't been that packed in a long time. My showing of Furiosa actually had tons of people in it. Comparatively, I mean, the theater was probably still not half full, or maybe half.
And that was
full
today, right? You saw it today.
That was today,
right?
yeah. I just went and saw it today. So
I went and saw it at 10 a.m. on Saturday, and it was like half full at 10 a.m., which I thought was at the time I thought was pretty good. I'm like, oh, well, that's not bad. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think. I think if you're a fan of George Miller, if you're a fan of Mad Max, if you're really a fan of action movies, then I don't think that you wouldn't go see this because of the product. Like I said,
right,
I think it would more so be everything that kind of goes along with it. I've seen people sharing screenshots on the West Coast where tickets are like $21 per person to go see a movie out there, and like even for me in my neck of the woods, I mean, I have the Stubbs account, but if I didn't, it's like $15. Like, I mean, it's expensive to go to the movies, and it's like the 30 minutes of trailers drives me fuck. I tweeted at AMC before this movie, because I'm like sitting there like, it's been 30 minutes. Like, what is happening? Like, let's end the trailers. Like, let's get the movie started. That's why
the great thing was, so today I go to my theater, right? My showtime, my posted showtime was 12:40 p.m. I left the house at 12:45. I got to the theater. I waited in line. I ordered pizza. They actually sell pizza at my theater now, which they just started doing. I ordered pizza and a large water. And they said the pizza will take a few minutes. I said, all right, fine. So I went into the theater. It was like 12:55, 12:57, somewhere around there. So I still had like a little bit over 10 minutes. So I went inside, set my water and my glasses case down, and I came back out, and I hung out and waited for the pizza. I got my pizza at about 1:04, 1:05, because I kept track of this on my phone. Went back into the theater, sat down, and still had to sit through their random Pepsi movie quote ad thing that they always do, and like 2 more trailers and a commercial for the Army National Guard. So the movie, it definitely had 30 or maybe 31, 32 minutes of ads and trailers and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Here you go. Same. I kept track because I thought it might come up on our episode. Actually, it was a 10 a.m. showtime. I got there maybe like right at 10 a.m. and I just got popcorn and a water, so I wasn't in line very long. So I probably sat down like, I don't know, 10:02 or something like that, 10:03, 10:35 before the Warner Brothers logo comes up and the movie actually starts. 10:35. So 35 minutes of commercials and trailers. They played 11 movie trailers prior to the start of the film. A couple of them were the quick ones. Like there's a quick one now that Deadpool and Wolverine are doing about silencing your phone.
Yeah, the phone thing. Yeah.
And then there's another quick one that they did. I can't remember what it was.
Which I thought was really funny because this isn't rated. Is this rated R? No, this isn't rated R, is it?
It is. It's rated
is
R.
It?
Because I was gonna take.
It's rated R, but they bleeped out everything in it.
Yeah.
Did they bleep yours out?
No.
Yeah, my whole one was bleeped out. Everything, all the swear words, everything was bleeped out.
Maybe that was like sometimes they do special showings where you can bring. They do like family friendly showings where they like bleep stuff out.
To an R-rated movie?
It happens.
I don't think it was.
Why would they bleep it out? Maybe
I don't know. I thought it was weird because I was like, I'm pretty sure this is an R-rated movie. Why aren't they? And like it even opened like before they played that, it opened with the Red Band trailer logo. So I was just like,
yeah.
I thought that was super weird that they bleeped it all out. I didn't get it.
Yeah, they. Oh no, you know what? I feel like they did because Hugh Jackman was dropping the F bomb a bunch, right? I feel like they did bleep out the F bombs, but not the other words.
No, they
I
bleeped
think
everything in mine. Like
you think.
literally, like it was just like beep 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 beep.
Yeah, I
Like
think
it was
it's
just
on. I think it's on YouTube now. Maybe we can confirm that. But
yeah. No.
let me see. I got one. Did you have another one on Discord?
I got a fun one for you from Jason from Nerd Revert. He said, Gerald, how furioso were you with the runtime?
Jason likes to ask questions that I'm going to get into during the review, so I don't want to spoil it. But if a movie earns its runtime, I'm fine. I'll just leave it at that. I mean, if I'm entertained and I'm not like looking at my watch or checking my phone, then I'm good. So we'll get into that when we get into the review. But I don't think it bothered me as much as it may have on paper when I initially read it. On Facebook, this is an interesting one, Nick, and I think this might come up a little bit during our review too. In fact, I would imagine it would. Amanda, dear friend of the show, former guest of the show, she says, are prequels to sequels needed? That's just a simple question. Obviously, that's going to come up tonight when we talk about Furiosa. But there's been a lot of discussion, and Julio kind of mentioned it a little bit in his question too, is that there's this kind of aura that the movie-going audience doesn't want prequels. They want like original content, or maybe even more so a sequel to something they've already seen. Where are you at mentally with the prequel discussion? Like, are you okay with prequels and franchises? Or?
I think as long as you've got a good story to tell, it doesn't matter if it's a prequel, if it's a sequel, if it's an original IP or whatever it is. If you've got a good story to tell, the audience will take that journey with you. Okay. Yeah. The question is, did it work in this case? Did it being a prequel hurt it in the case of Furiosa? And I'm going to say before we get into the review, I'm going to say that this is a niche IP. This isn't Star Wars. This isn't Marvel. This isn't whatever. Fury Road only grossed like 400 million at the box office. Like it was not some massive like $1 billion box office, like blowout, amazing smash hit. It barely broke even. So this is a niche franchise that like not a lot of people are like super clamoring for, like super film nerds who like absolutely adored Fury Road. I rewatched Fury Road yesterday because I hadn't seen it in a little while. And I mean, that movie's a goddamn masterpiece. It's incredible how good, like it's unbelievable how good, how tightly paced and edited and put together. Everything about that movie is just is phenomenal beyond words. Like I said, this is a niche IP, and like I want to save my thoughts for like, did the prequel aspect of it work for this 100% in this film's case? But I mean, if you have a good story to tell, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter what type of thing it is. In a niche IP like a Mad Max, it's like maybe there was a different film. And also, I'm gonna say it's been what 9 years. 9 years since Fury Road. Like I'm gonna say that it's been too long. It's been too long.
What's interesting is because you're right. This movie, or this franchise, I should say, of Mad Max is like as close as you can get to like towing the line between like a blockbuster and like a cult classic. You know what I mean? Like where it's like got a cult following, but it's large enough of a cult following to where it's like a well-known IP. You know what I mean? It's like a weird. It brings in that Venn diagram that Winters mentioned last week on the movie draft. It just brings in different kind of elements of demographics and stuff. So it's interesting for that reason. I'm not like a super fan of the Mad Max franchise, and our buddy Paul from the Countdown and some other people get on me about not loving Mad Max enough or Fury Road enough. I mean, I liked it, but I mean, even hearing you talk about it right now, we'll kind of get into it when we talk about Furiosa here in a second, but I thought it was a great action movie, but I was never one of those people that was like, Fury Road is a quote unquote masterpiece, like you just said. But I know. I mean, it is very, very, very good, and I, of course, it'll come up in comparisons and stuff as we get into Furiosa tonight. So, guys, thank you so much for the questions. And one big question, as always, if you want to get involved, check the show notes. We got links to all of our social media, our Discord channel, etc., and you could throw questions at us every week to answer when we start out the episode. Now, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is the review this week. Nick and I like to give our scores to each other out of 10 at the top of the review. We have not discussed it with each other yet. It is what we call the early score reveal.
Damn it, this always happens. A I think I'm gonna score, and then I never score. It's not fair.
All right, Nikki Poo. I've been itching to talk about this movie.
You should get that checked out.
I I do this thing sometimes, instant reactions. Sometimes I'll put it on YouTube, like a little short. Sometimes I'll put a little blurb on Twitter with the hashtag. I didn't do any of that since I saw it on Saturday. I've literally been tight-lipped about it for a couple days because I knew we were going to have a pretty in-depth discussion about it. This is a movie, before I show my score, that I'm excited to talk about, but I'm also nervous about who I'm talking about it with. So are you ready?
Oh,
Here we go.
God. Why you got to
Here we
put
go.
the pressure on me, man?
Here we go.
Why you got to put all the pressure on me?
Count it in.
3, 2, 1.
What do you got? So
divide that by 2. Divide that by
10.
2, bud. Yeah, divide that by 2.
Oh, you can't be serious.
Yeah, I'm 100% serious. This movie sucked. This movie sucked. It's lucky to get that 5.
God.
Lucky.
All right, let's tell the audio audience. So it was a 10 out of 10 for me, a 5 out of 10 from Nick, which I don't know what that is. That's a 7.5, I think, cumulatively from the piece.
I love it. This is Dune Part 2 all over again. I'm dragging down that
I guess it is. Now, you know what's funny? Before we get into the the nuts and bolts of Furiosa, I watched this movie on Saturday, like I said. Obviously, I loved it. I was blown away by it. I also rewatched Fury Road right after it, which I think actually is what made this a 10 for me, is watching them back to back. And I'll get into that a little bit without getting into the spoilers here at the beginning. But also what I did, Nick, is I put on Dune Part 2. Because I'm like, which one of these is my favorite movie of the year? It's a neck-and-neck race right now. I really don't know, because Dune Part 2 was glorious on the second watch. But anyway, so, all right, let me defend my 10 real quick, and then I'll let you get into the opinion that you have. So, for me, what Furiosa did is it took this Mad Max world that is pretty elaborate and pretty grandiose, but at the same time, it's pretty mysterious. Like, it's not a super specific, like, similar to like Dune or like a Star Wars, where it's like, they name every character's third cousin and like, you know what I'm saying? It's not really like that. It's kind of ambiguous in a lot of ways. And one of the main issues I had with Fury Road, while I loved it, was that it didn't really tell us why we were doing what we were doing, like why the journey existed. Like, it dropped little hints here and there, and the wives being kidnapped, and they were on the journey. Riley Keough and Zoe Kravitz and others that were on the journey with them, and so in Furiosa, we kind of get that backstory. We kind of find out how we got to where we got to in Fury Road. And when it comes to the action set pieces and the spectacle of it, I felt like there was a lot more that not only was entertaining to me while I was watching Furiosa, but enhanced the franchise as a whole, which prequels and sequels don't necessarily do. Like, I watched Fury Road today, which was a couple days after I saw Furiosa. And they go together so well, I feel like. Like, I feel like it was a very nice blend from one movie to the next, but it had that substance that carried over with it that I was just missing when I watched Fury Road as a standalone film. So I'm having trouble, honestly, thinking of a time when I saw a prequel that made the movies that we like know as secondhand better. And I feel like Furiosa just added so much depth and perspective to, obviously, this character, Furiosa. I mean, it's the name of the movie. I mean, we don't get a lot of character development in Fury Road. I mean, you can't argue me that. I mean, we don't know her backstory. We don't know a lot of the stuff that we see in Furiosa. We have no clue in Fury Road. We just know she's this badass renegade or whatever. And Charlize Theron killed it. I mean, she was great. I just love the additional character development and the additional elements that were added to what we know, and like, oh, okay, that's how we got there. That's how she lost her arm. That's how, we know why she suffers through her journey from what she went through in Furiosa, which we didn't know when watching Fury Road. Like, why is she so pissed off? It's like, now we know. So I just love the added substance and backstory to this character. And it's honestly, with Dune Part 2, it's right there as far as my best film of the year. I love it.
It's an orange thing, isn't it? You just got a hard on for the color orange.
If it's in the desert, I'm going to give it a high score.
If there's sand everywhere, it's like you're literally like 10 out of 10. You can't stop.
I just don't know.
Perfect scores at it.
I got to hear you, because I don't know how somebody that loves Fury Road, and you just called it a masterpiece.
Fury Road's a masterpiece.
Love it.
It's incredible.
I don't know how somebody that loves Fury Road can't look at this and go, wow, that okay, let's do that double header. That's great. I mean, help me out here. What am I missing?
Yeah, no, because here's the problem, because I don't need answers to every single, and this is the problem. This movie's 2.5 hours long. To go back to Jason's question about whether or not this movie's too long or not, apparently not in Gerald's case.
It's not.
This movie, it does not. I don't need to know the origins of the organic mechanic. I don't need to know that he was with Dementis first and then joined up with Immortan Joe. And like all these different things, like I didn't need Rictus to come back, Nathan Jones, and like all these other kinds of different things. Like I didn't like it. It feels like it's so overstuffed with trying to answer. It's like somebody sat there when they were like, yeah, what about all these unanswered questions from Mad Max Fury Road? Let me see how many more unanswered questions we can fit in here. How did she get the women onto the rig, before they left for the beginning of Mad Max Fury Road? And like all these freaking ridiculous, like it tried to explain too much. That's my number one problem with it. And then number two, like, I don't know, like I just felt really detached from this whole thing, which, considering how much I love Fury Road, like I really went into this really expecting to be invested in learning her journey. In Fury Road, I think you're dead wrong about that, about Fury Road. Like she wants to go home in Fury Road. That's the whole reason she does what she does. She wants to go home. She wants to go back.
How much time do they really spend on it, though? I mean, they're just
they don't have to spend a lot of time on it. Like I want to go home. That's a singular simple motivation. And then when she finds out her home is gone, like they have to turn around and they have to go back to the Citadel and take it back over, which is really, really great and everything like that. I was really, really excited to see that journey and how that all transpired and everything like that. I really, really enjoyed Chris Hemsworth hamming it up like crazy as Dementis. I thought he was really, really great, but I think the film just makes really, really weird choices. He disappears from it for like an hour for whatever reason. Like he's in the first act and then like he's completely gone when she just randomly as a little girl gets left at the Citadel and then escapes from Rictus at one point and is like hanging upside down from a pipe, and then she pretends she's a boy so she doesn't have to like go in with the wives. Mm-hmm. and all that kind of different things like that. See, and here's the other thing, like there's, you want to talk about story, like little seeds planted, and seeds are a big theme throughout these movies, so that is kind of fitting. But like seeds planted in Fury Road that like it's like you would have expected them to get back more of. Like her whole impetus is like, our children will not be warlords. Like she kidnaps all of his wives that he basically uses as like brood mares to try to produce like a child that isn't mutated in some weird way or whatever the case. Like, what is it that spurred her decision on to do that? Like, this film doesn't go into that either. And I was really hoping like, okay, you're going to leave her at the Citadel. Like, let's get more of how terrible Immortan Joe is, like how he's this vile, despicable, evil person, but he's kind of really just a non-entity in the movie. They don't really go into him at all or his treatment of people at all. He's not even really a bad guy in the movie. He's just sort of there. And that's my number one problem with this, is going back to Amanda's question about, is this necessary? Was this prequel necessary? I don't think so. I think that Furiosa's journey, like you could have cut an hour from this and it probably would have been a much better, much tighter, much nicer sort of thing, because it almost seems like the plot forgets at certain points, like that her whole driving force is to go home. Literally everything she wants is about to like getting home, but then it's all this weird, it like gets tossed into like all this different battles between this. And here's Gerald, this film commits the cardinal sin of movies, okay?
Mhm.
It commits the live by night sin, which is a narrator comes on the screen and tells you about something that sounds super cool, the 40-day wasteland war, and they don't show you a goddamn thing. They literally gloss over it, and it's like, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Why didn't you show me any of that? Like, maybe, like, why didn't I get to see Furiosa like as this battle hardened whatever? How did she become this like heart? Like, obviously Immortan Joe has like this like respect for her by the time Fury Road comes around. How does she become like the great Imperator that drives the war rig? I mean, obviously she rode with the dude that drove the war rig in this one. I mean, like, it seemed to want to answer a whole bunch of like dumb questions we didn't need answers to, like, oh, where did the organic mechanic come from? Who gives a shit?
Well, what I
Like,
disagree. I think it
and that
added
didn't answer the questions about like some of the more in-depth character questions about what drives her to kidnap the women, kidnap the wives, and go to home, as opposed to just going home, because those are two completely different things, completely different motivations. You know,
Sure.
it doesn't answer those things that I would have really wanted to know more about.
I think in Furiosa, the like first, I don't know, 30 to 40 minutes or so, we don't even see Anya Taylor-Joy. We get a wonderful child performance from Elila Brown, who plays young Furiosa, and they use some CG to kind of make her look even more like Anya Taylor-Joy. But like, we get a really, really good kid performance in that first, like I said, 30 to 40 minutes. But I like the depth to the Furiosa character. And that's why, I mean, the set pieces in this movie, the action stuff is phenomenal. It's on par, if not better, than the action set pieces in Fury Road. I mean, it's not fair to compare it to the 80s movies because we're dealing with technology and, I mean, it's 30, 40 years later. But Mad Max as a franchise in general always has good action. It's kind of known for that. So that stuff is still on par with where we expect it to be. So you take those elements that I did love in Fury Road, which is essentially the action stuff, and you add the depth of this one specific character, the childhood stuff, the whole chase sequence with her mom trying to rescue her, which was another great performance in the film, and the connection that she obviously feels with from the Land of Many Mothers. We don't know if it's actually her mom or if it's just the woman who raised her or whatever. But obviously there's a parental connection there. We get that layer to the character. She has a Praetorian Jack in her. It's insinuated that they had a relationship that went beyond partnership and working and stuff because of his kind of mentorship of her. So we get to see that Furiosa has loved in her life before. There's a lot of layers that are added to the Furiosa character that we just frankly didn't get prior to this. And I know you're saying you didn't need it. And I'm not saying I needed it. I mean, I think Fury Road's a great movie, and this could have never come out. And 20 years from now, I would still say Fury Road's a great movie. I mean, I own it. I think it's awesome. It's one of the best action movies I've ever seen. But I did love that stuff. It did do something for me personally. It gave me another reason to care about that character going forward in the franchise. And that's why I think it's exceptional that this movie, as a prequel, improved Fury Road for me personally. I know you said it was a masterpiece already, which is great, and I know a lot of people share that sentiment. But this movie, Furiosa, made Fury Road better, in my opinion, especially if you watch them together and you treat it as a unique work. And Furiosa's actually got me excited to go back and watch some of the older Mad Max movies, which I haven't seen in decades. I mean, I don't even remember them, aside from Mel Gibson was in them. I don't really remember a lot about them. George Miller's eye for, you mentioned the orange and the colors and stuff. I do love that shit. I mean, I do. I'll plead guilty right now. You're right. I mean, I love when it's kind of like you're watching a fever dream. Like, it's not quite real, but it's like you can kind of feel yourself in that world. Tim Burton does it a lot in his movies where it's like kind of fantasy, but kind of like it feels a blending of real life too. and I think George Miller is really, really good at it, especially in these Mad Max movies. So I love that too. Anya Taylor-Joy is divine. I mean, I already mentioned the child performance. I thought was great. Chris Hemsworth. I was going to mention to you because I know you went to see Fast X with Dan in the theater. It kind of reminded me of Momoa a little bit in Fast X, how he was just like really hamming up that like villain over
Yeah,
the top performance. And
he
I
was
thought
having a
he
good
was
time.
great in it. I do agree with you that Immortan Joe was like kind of in the background. Like he wasn't very menacing in this movie, and in Fury Road, obviously he is. So I do agree with you that was a little bit of a letdown, but I think they were just kind of turning it over to Hemsworth in this movie. I mean, he's the big name, and he's got that performance that's going to kind of stand out in your mind a little bit more. Um,
I just wish
I
that I honest to God, I think the film is 2.5 hours long, and I think it focused on filling in all the wrong gaps. I would have loved a lot more time with Dementis. I loved that character. I would have really loved to see more of like how. So there's this one sequence in the film. There's all these different things that happen in this film, and it's really the things that hurt this film the most for me, where they just sort of happen. Like they happen off screen, and we're just supposed to like accept them instead of like being like that could have been a kind of cool beat to explore on screen. I don't know why they didn't do that. Like he's got the dude that has like the big horns or whatever, and they go to Gastown. Did we even drop the spoiler drop thingy to delineate spoilers to let Dan in here and do his little promo? I don't
I
think
don't
we
think
did.
we did. Let's go ahead and do it now because did I spoil anything? I don't think I did yet, right? Or did
Yeah,
we?
Dan, give us the spoiler. Give us the spoiler. The little promo thingy, and we'll be right
If
back to
Dan
talk spoilers about Fury or
and if
Mad
Dan
Max Saga Furiosa, whatever it's called.
and if Dan thinks we already spoiled something, just put it in there. So, right. Go ahead. So spoilers going forward. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
So like what I was gonna say is I think he's got the guy with the big horns. Remember they're going to Gastown and they're planning that whole thing to try to get the gates open so they can get in there and they can take over Gastown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're not buying it because they're basically just pretending like they smeared a whole bunch of people with like white mud to make them look like the war boys to try to get in the gates or whatever. So they're not buying it. So then Dementis is like, no, we gotta kill him for real, or we gotta hurt him for real. So then he starts shooting his own men, like made up as war boys. But they were like they were like they answered to the horn dude, like the dude that had like the big giant like black horns or whatever. And then like after that, like after they take over Gastown and after they've grown up a bit, like you come back and the war rig is on the road to Gastown or whatever and gets attacked by a whole motorcycle gang that's apparently led by the big horn dude. And all they tell you is he defected from Dementis. Like that's all they tell you. And it's like, I really feel like Dementis, like I said, he disappears for like an hour of the runtime of this movie. He's in the first act, not really in the second act at all, and then comes back big time in the third act. Basically, once they get back to Gastown, like after that whole thing, like I kind of like, I don't know, like direction wise, it just didn't work for me. Like I really would have loved to see, like, because he seemed in a way, he seemed to have a kind of paternal protection sort of thing for Furiosa, even though obviously like butchered her mother and everything like that. And obviously she wanted revenge and everything, but I would have really loved to see like a more of an exploration of like her growing up or like her learning sort of things from him and then like escaping from him and getting to the Citadel and like turning on him, however that necessarily worked. Like I thought it was just like this really, really weird, it honest to God, it felt like somebody was trying to check a box off of a checklist of these are a whole bunch of random questions from Fury Road that nobody needed the answers to. Like, where did the organic mechanic come from? Like simple stuff like that. Like they just randomly show up there and he's like, I'm in charge of Gastown now. And then Immortan Joe's like, cool, give me that kid. Like, it's just like, I
think
didn't
Dementis,
like the way that all that kind of stuff got put together. I would have really loved more Dementis, more of he and Furiosa together, because here's the problem. He disappears from the movie for so long. And then like, here's the other thing. Like by the time they go to Gastown, we get back to Gastown, we see Gastown's like in near riot state. Like they're like they basically barely escape from there with their lives and everything like that, because he's got like, they're like rebelling, but they're also following him. Like the power structure doesn't make any sense. Like, is he their leader? Is he just some crazy higher up dude who like that they listen to sort of, but also they're crazy and they do what like it. I just
think
feel like it
Dementis
spent
was
all
in
this
my
time explaining these things, but not the things that it needed to really go into.
in my mind. Dementis was throughout the runtime was more or less like this character who think of how I can word this. He was like kind of obviously a shallow character where he didn't care about anything but his own
Oh, for
well-being and
sure.
his own rise. So when it came to the connections with Furiosa and stuff, there was a point in the movie where I was like, I wonder how close they actually got because we don't really see that. But I don't think they did because I think he was never attached to any other person. So, and the reason I believe that is because how easily he kind of gave her to a Morton Joe. And then at the end of the movie, he doesn't even remember her until, she kind of refreshes his memory with some specific dialogue. I can't remember what she says.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, it's you," and he remembers. Like, but it took him, he didn't even know this girl was out for revenge because she didn't mean anything to him. So, to us as the viewer, I think it would have been a more fitting kind of piece of storytelling to dive more into their relationship as she was aging and coming of age. But they don't because I don't think that he cares. Like, I don't think she matters to him. So, as unfortunate as that is, I just think that's the hard truth. I mean, I've kind of already explained why. I mean, this movie floored me, man. The action sequence with, I think it's called the stowaway, when she's under the rig and ends up essentially taking it over because she's such a badass.
Yeah.
And they have the octopus thing at the back of the fucking with the spinning
Right. Yeah.
crane or whatever, and like that whole sequence that lasted about 10 minutes or so was just like I was just in awe of it. Like it was just so. I mean, it was Fury Road-esque in its just. It was so. What's the word I'm looking for? Like.
I mean, in terms of like the technical achievement and the
top,
stunt
but that's
work
not
and
really
things
what I'm
like
saying,
that,
but-
it was phenomenal to watch. Like, I don't got a single thing bad to say about how this film looked visually, about how like the action and stuff went off, about the effects in the movie. I thought everything looked great. I hope you stayed and saw Billy's name in the credits. Billy from We Watched the Thing.
I did. I saw that.
Got to work on this movie.
Fucking was it Nux? Nux's bobblehead at the very very end too. Did you stay for that?
Oh no, I didn't stay for that. No.
It was like a 2-second end credit scene. It was Nux's bobblehead. So
yeah, no, I didn't stay for any of that because I didn't stay. Listen, I didn't stay for. I didn't like because then the movie does a weird thing in the credits where it kind of just plays you some highlights of Mad Max Fury Road after that
yeah, it does,
for whatever
yeah.
reason. I don't really know why they decided to do that, but like it looks beautiful. Like Miller, I mean, he paints with film. He did it in Mad Max Fury Road as well, where like he's clearly using the orange and the blue, like the night, like that beautiful blue hue of the night. Like I mean, the film looks gorgeous. It really, really does. It's well acted. It's stunt work is incredible. Like they try to do different things. Like they clearly didn't want to just do more car stuff. Like we've already seen a ton of car stuff in Fury Road. So Miller clearly wanted to push the envelope. So that's why you get like the flying dudes. Like you got dudes on like paragliders throwing Molotov cocktails at the war rig and different things like that, which all of that looks phenomenal. It all looks really, really great. And I can't take any of that away from it. That's why it gets a 5 from me. Like the other 5 points is just that this script is just, it's dog shit. It's just like, I wanted so much more depth out of this character. I wanted to know so much more about this character. Like obviously her driving force is to go home because she's taken from home and her mother's killed. But like, what else is it that if you're going to answer questions about Mad Max Fury Road, if you're going to fill in the blanks for us, why don't we get one shot of her going into the vault where the wives are held, and she's wearing the little chastity belt that they all have to wear, like with the teeth on it and stuff, so nobody else tries to touch them. We get to see all that stuff, but it's one very, very brief scene, and then she goes back there at the very, very end and feeds them each a piece of fruit, and it's the girls from Fury Road. Like that's at the very, very end of the movie when she's like that's when like basically it's like the 5 minutes before Fury Road kicks off, right. Is what that is. Like I said, I really, really wish this script would have gone more into her hatred of Dementis, like her want for revenge against Dementis, like, and just would have spent more time between those two characters. And if she had a relationship with the other war rig driver, what did you say, Praetorian Alex or whatever his name was?
Praetorian Jack, yeah.
Yeah, if she would have had like some kind of relationship like that or something with it, like why is it okay that the film has to go over the top explaining nonsense to us like this is where the organic mechanic came from? I hate to keep harping on that, but I find it so stupid that they had to fill that in, that they had no, who cares? But like, but then they just imply that they had a romantic relationship. Like they don't even actually show us anything. Like they have one scene where like he stitches her up and like they kind of just put their foreheads together and that's it. Like why go so far over the top to over explain some aspects, but then you're either not going to show us at all. Like that 40 Days Wasteland War, I was so pissed. I was like, really? Like this movie just Live by Nighted me, where it was just like a narrator comes in and is like, and this cool thing happened that you're never going to get a chance to see you later. Like that, it pisses me off to no end. Don't even tell me about it.
I think it shines in its simplicity, brother. I'm just telling you. I think
this
that
script is dog shit. I hated the script of this movie so much.
I think there's some scenes in this movie that'll just live in my mind for a long, long time. I mean, I already mentioned the stowaway scene, the scene where she's chained up by her arm and she ends up cutting it off, which so there's another layer that we find out that we didn't get in Fury Road of why she has a mechanical arm or whatever. So we get an origin for that. I mean, she just is hell-bent on revenge. She's hell-bent on getting home. And she wants to get revenge for what happened to her mother, which was essentially at the hands of Dementis. And so once she has that revenge, what's next? What's the next chapter for her character? And that's kind of what we get in Fury Road, which, like you said, it kind of goes right into the next, element of her story. I just love the background. I don't get that a lot with prequels. I really don't. Like most prequels, to answer Amanda's question from earlier, most prequels do feel unnecessary to me, really. They feel like a way to make more money for the IP, and, hardcore fans are going to come out for it, whether it's a prequel, sequel, or whatever. And that's honestly kind of what I thought this was going to be. I thought it was going to be good. I thought it was going to be a good action movie. But I did think up until I saw it that it was just going to kind of be like, a way to get more money for the Mad Max franchise and summer blockbuster and whatever. And the ironic part of that is it's not making that much money. But
I really expected to absolutely be head over heels, over the moon, in love with this. I mean, it's probably some expectation playing a little bit into that aspect as well. I mean, it probably is, but I'm so, especially seeing the reactions online of like some people, not everybody, but some people some it's just as good, or like comparing it like so favorably to Fury Road and being like Miller's done it again, and like all these kind of different things. Like I said, I rewatched Fury Road yesterday. It is a stone cold masterpiece. It is so good.
This is better than Fury Road.
God,
Furiosa,
honest to God, like I didn't care. Why did they focus so much on the stuff that didn't matter in this? I don't know. I don't get it.
This to be 2.5 hours or 240 or whatever it was, like this never drug for me. It never dragged. I was always like, and I think it was because of the development of Furiosa as a character, the young actress that played her, and then Anya Taylor-Joy's portrayal, and knowing what I knew about Fury Road going forward, and then watching Fury Road again today, I don't know, man. It worked for me. It just worked for me on all cylinders because it gave me the action stuff that I'm used to with Miller, but it added in that character piece and the depth and the nuance of her as a person that, in my opinion, we had never gotten prior to Furiosa. So I loved it. I do think it's a better movie than Fury Road. I do. Like right now, as I'm sitting here, I love both of them. But I mean, I gave Furiosa a 10 out of 10. I probably would give Fury Road like an 8, maybe a 9 on a good day. They're both great, but I just love the added substance that we get with this movie versus some of the old Mad Maxes or versus Fury Road. That's just my opinion. Hey, Nick, you've been wrong before, buddy. It's okay. Don't Beat yourself up. Oh man, Furiosa, a 10 from me. The best movie of 2024 so far, as I'm sitting here from Gerald's perspective, is Furiosa.
Dragging down the
And
average.
Nick, dragging down the average as he does, gives it a 5 out of 10. Nick, anything else you want to say about this thing before we wrap up?
No, I'll never watch it again. I'll watch Fury Road
my-
100 more times in my lifetime. I'll
What?
never watch this again.
Dude, that is a
Nope.
shame, brother. I told you I was nervous to talk about this with you. I was like, maybe Nick will bring me a 7 at least. Maybe he'll bring me a 7, and I'll be like, all right, well, yeah. Because sometimes, you know,
I brought you a
know
7 if they would have told me what the hell the 40-day Wasteland War was.
I
We could
can't
have
wait
seen
till the
Furiosa charging out on the battlefield, being like this badass soldier, like stabbing war boys in the throat and all this kind of other stuff. Like, imagine how cool that scene would be. And it's like, man, oh man, we're gonna mention this really like that. Dude, that is such a cardinal sin.
I cannot wait.
Of movie making to me. A narrator just comes on and is like, "Hey, audience, this cool thing happened, and you're never gonna see it."
I can't wait for the Organic Mechanic, a Mad Max story in 2027.
I quit. Like, I will quit going to the movies. Then I will never go to another movie again if that happens.
Oh man! All right, that's that. Next week there's not going to be a new episode because Livestream for the Cure is happening. We talked about it at the top of the show. Don't forget livestreamforthecure.com, twitch.tv/livestream for the Cure. All that information is also in the show notes for you if you want to scroll down and click on it there. Go over there and check us out between now and June 1st. And then, of course, it'll be online after the fact as well. And I will be airing our segment on the main feed, or Dan will, I should say, on the main feed next week instead of a new episode. So we can just make sure everybody's flooding to Livestream for the Cure this week. Nick, I hate that you gave it a 5, but I enjoyed chatting with you about Furiosa tonight. And I will be seeing you on the flip side. The next time we share a mic together, we'll be raising money for the Cancer Research Institute. So I'm looking forward to that.
Hell yeah, man. Super excited again, as Gerald said. Please, please, please come out, buy exclusive Gerald shirt. You're gonna love it. Donate. Like, if you hate cancer, it's a really great cause. And immunotherapy is become it, even like I said, in the 8 years now that we've done the event, the number of different cancers that immunotherapy has expanded to, it has increased a lot, and that's just since we've done it. And that's thanks to events like this. That's thanks to people out there that donate, that share. Even if you can't, I always get asked, and I know I share this to social media a lot too, but I always get asked, people always ask me, Nick, how can I help? Is there anything I can do? This is a great cause. I want to help somehow. Like, I don't need help with the nuts and bolts. Share. Help us spread the word, spread it as far and wide as you possibly can. Share it wherever you see it on social media. And even if you can't donate, it's okay. Like, not everybody can donate, but help us get to the people who can. That's the most important thing.
Yep. By the way, I forgot to mention, so we did our first ever two-piece movie draft last week on the show. And Nick, as we're sitting here, actually, Nick, I didn't mean for this to happen. I'm going to refresh the page. But because when we started this episode, you were leading, you were winning in the polls. But as we're sitting here now, we're tied. So do you want to share the victory with me, or
I guess we got to wait. The poll's not done yet. We got to wait now.
We'll throw it out there next week and let everybody know who actually won. But we did our 1994 movie draft. Make sure you guys look that up, and make sure you vote on Twitter if you'd like to cast your vote for the best team.
For Nick, not for the person who cheated and put himself first so he could pick Pulp Fiction.
I can't believe this. It's on camera that I did not cheat, but for some reason I cheated.
Sure it is.
Wow. We'll be back in a couple weeks with a new episode, though. I think we're going to be talking about Hitman, which is going to be coming on Netflix, starring Glenn Powell. I'm excited to check that one out. And then we will have yet another movie draft for you in June as well with a very special guest. And you want to tell people what topic you decided for that one?
Yeah, so this one is going to be because it's going to basically be on the air right around the start of summer. So it's going to be top summer movies, your favorite summer movies. And that's not summer releases. That's movies that take place in the summer, or summer is a major plot theme or component to the film.
Does Furiosa
not films
take
that were
place
released
in the summer? It's hot there. It must be summertime in Furiosa. I'm making my list.
You have to be
Furiosa, Dune
summer
Part 2.
has to be. You have to be able to successfully argue that summer is a major component or part of the movie. If it's not,
so not a desert movie or a lot of sand. That wouldn't categorize us.
I mean, if it takes place in the summer,
because I got a couple here. We'll just talk about one of them. We'll see. All right, so summer movies, I guess is what we'll call it, but not release date, but take place in the summer. we'll figure that out. So that'll be the next movie draft. And like I said, we'll be talking about Hitman in a couple weeks. Guys, make sure to tune into Livestream for The Cure this week. Check it out. Go see us over there. Donate if you can. And we will be back with a new episode here in a couple weeks. Nick, I love you, man. God, what do they say? Witness me. Or, well, that's...
I already did that. I got all wet. I'm
You
still
did it
all
already,
wet.
yeah. Yeah, you did it already. All right, I'll see you at Livestream, buddy.
All right, peace.